Hi, I'm Bruce Burke. We're doing some more interviews with some of the people who are going to be speaking at the upcoming Fin+AI 2024 conference. It's being held in Dania Beach, Florida. It's October 2nd through the 4th. Today, I'm privileged to have with me Hunter Menton. Hunter, I don't know that well, so this is going to be an opportunity for me to get to know him as well as you. I've talked with him a little bit. I kind of understand what he's doing, and we're working on some things together for the event. So, Hunter, why don't you please introduce yourself and tell everybody the company you're with and kind of what they do to kick things off.
Sure. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. So my name is Hunter Menton. I'm the CEO of the Growth Lab, and I was introduced to the conference by Koya Reese and introduced to Bruce here. And a little bit about myself is I've been in fintech for 27 years. So it came up through the Fiserv and the World phase of the world, worked in 3 different distinct startups around payment processing, ACH processing, payment orchestration. Most recently, I'm doing consulting for growth strategies inside both early stage fintech startups, as well as starting my own, which is called the Growth Lab. And we help new leaders thrive by just helping them kind of creating a platform for new leaders to join and get trained up and just use the advisors and coaches on our platform to help them train. So we're kind of building that in the background. And I think we've got a couple of things we're building for the conference that we want to talk about today.
Okay. So I went into Logictry's interface and did just a quick trial run, and I want to call it a glaze, right? I didn't dig very deep, but there was something that was right there on their homepage that a sample that you could try, and so I tried it, and I defined myself, right, and I defined what I was interested in, and it started at, and it was very. It was kind of a different test because it seemed like they actually were more concerned about who was taking the assessment rather than the information that they were going to present, because I think it presents different information based on obviously who's taking the assessment.
Sure. Yeah, I can give you a little context behind that. So no, I'm glad you went in. Thank you so much for that. So the Growth Lab is partnered with Logictry, and just to kind of give a little context, and we'll kind of jump into that a little bit. And so the Growth Lab, our mission is to empower new leaders to thrive and really create a community of actionable growth. So whoever comes in, they can come up with concepts that actually help them in their roles. Logictry has a very similar mission in the sense that they want to scale the wisdom inside organizations to make better decisions faster. And so when you think about that, they're basically taking an AI engine and putting together a curator. So they'll get a subject matter expert from that organization to curate information to scale that knowledge. And that fits in perfectly with what we're trying to do with helping new leaders get actionable growth. So what we created, or what we're in the midst of creating and we'll be launching for the conference, is exactly what you mentioned. It's an AI assessment. And so it's an assessment to help us with, here's the goal behind it. So creating an assessment to help me as an individual, but also me as a CEO, learn more about AI to help me with the outcomes I'm trying to meet. And so the assessments that we're building is a little more focused on fintech and specifically the outcomes for fintech companies. And so curating with experts in AI, with experts in fintech, to come up with an assessment that says, hi, I'm a CEO. Here's my learning style. Here's how I like to consume information. Here are the things I'm trying to create for me personally as an outcome, but also professionally. And what type of personalized learning journey would you recommend? And then the system will come up and curate that learning journey based on the wisdom from the humans, the experts in both of those fields, and then come up with an idea of, okay, if you're a CEO, then here are the larger visionary ideas around AI. Here are some things that we think will help you learn the basics behind these specific concepts in AI, to therefore, A, enjoy the conference more and actually ask a little bit deeper questions, but B, hopefully get you closer to your outcomes and seek out the companies that can help you in creating those outcomes. And so that's our goal of kind of bringing together these two companies in the partnership both for the power of the technology, but also just to, again, make that more resonate with the audience at the conference in October.
I think it's a great idea to have that event on the day that essentially the exhibitors are setting up and people will be arriving and that sort of thing, because it allows them to kind of uh, get acclimated to AI if they aren't already, and kind of shift gears out of whatever they do on the day-to-day basis, right? And then it will kind of orient them into the conference, right? And like you said, they'll be able to understand it more, right? They'll be a little more familiar with terminology. Maybe give them a cheat sheet, that they can carry around with them, and a little glossary or something. I don't know, but maybe the assessment and training, will stick and stay and help them through the event. And I like that they're getting some value out of this, right? You go to so many shows and it's just, a bunch of people stand on stage and touting products and services. And this would be a little more interactive and a little more, dare I say it, personal, right? It's very personalized, yes?
Yeah, so I think where I've really enjoyed working with Logictry and the founders, Chris Fronda and Chelsea Toller, is it's essentially a decision assistant. Right? It's taking the knowledge of people, curating it with AI and all the different sources you can access, and helping you make better decisions faster. And so, I mean, that's the essence of the platform. And so when you leverage that in an environment like this, it's you have it on your phone, right? You have, the assessment you're done with it. You have the information on your phone, and you can kind of flip through it as you're looking at topics and interacting with speakers and going, well, actually, the article came out yesterday on this particular topic says this. What are your thoughts, right? So you can actually interact with the most recent data, and which is really critical with this platform, because I think that's where Chris and Chelsea have really, nailed it, really hit the head on this one, is because you can interact with a journey that is specifically where the outcomes you're trying to create. so that's the key piece. And so if I'm the CEO of a small, startup in fintech, and I'm trying to do a payment orchestration platform, and I'm trying to, find how AI can help me with customer service, or help me with scaling up my sales team, or help me with scaling up my solution engineers, or all those things, right? So that's kind of the purpose of Logictree. It's that decision. It's that, in curating that information and combining that with AI, with that subject matter expert, it really helps kind of solve some of those issues. So my goal in the conference is to provide people the ability to interact in a more meaningful way, and then also really see the power of the decision assistants in whoever they choose to use, right? Logictree or others, but just see that power of going, wow, okay, how could I help really scale more organization with something like this?
I don't think I've ever, in any learning situation, right, in any scheme of going through schools or any kind of training whatsoever, has the people who've been giving the quiz or whatever asked me, like, how do you prefer to learn it? Like, what sources would you prefer to get the information from? That sort of thing. And that's all different, right? That's all new. That's part of the personalization, but also it's the information that the assessment goes to the individual with is different based on who you've predefined that assessment for, right?
Exactly.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because there's,
Sure.
in the C-suite, you've got, CIO, CISO, CTO, CFO, right? You got a lot of different Cs. So, you can essentially set this for each one of those, right?
Absolutely. So, it ties the role with the outcome. That's the critical piece. So if I am a chief risk officer, right, so this is big, right? Obviously in fintech, is the ability to really scale AI in a meaningful way in helping me assess risk, but also just train my people up in the type of risk that is really proliferating in our organization, right? So there's lots of things in there. So if they say, really, my outcome is to understand X around risk, and Y around scaling my team, and Z around, right? So and we'll give examples of outcomes that we can create, but that really tying the role to the outcome is a critical piece, because then we can really curate the content of going, okay, I love to learn by video, by audio. I like, if you give me a bunch of text, me personally, I'll get through it, but I don't retain as much. And so, but if you do both, I really, really learn it well. And as an executive, we tend to bounce around a lot, try and grab the idea, think on it, and move to the next one, right? So just really creating for those who say, you know what, I want 6 bullet points, like no video, just give me this. Here's the outcome I'm trying to create, and then I'll go research it later. I'll have someone else research it for me later and come back with me. So, whatever that outcome and how they want to tie those two things together, I think is going to be critical. So, yeah, I'm excited, and I think it's and just again and again being able to have those outcomes on your phone that you can kind of flip through and as you grow into sessions, kind of think about. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I was reading this article, I think it was 2 days ago, about the LinkedIn, and their injection of AI, because they're a Microsoft property, but they kind of stand alone, right? They're not really connected to Microsoft, and they don't really push that edge, and so they're kind of a separate operating entity. And
Right.
the interview was the CEO talking about he had to get 17,000 employees to buy in on AI, because now you got everybody doing it, right? And every aspect of LinkedIn now has AI integrated
Yeah.
into it. And if you really think about company and buy-in, right? Buy-in starts at the top, right? I mean, and the leader sets the pace for the entire organization. So if the leader doesn't understand and the leader doesn't have a firm grasp on the technology, how can he give the go ahead, right, and
Yeah.
the edict to move ahead, right? Can you expound on that a little bit more? How
Sure.
it essentially empowers the leaders, right? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
very important part of this.
That's a great question. It's all about vision. I mean, I would narrow it down to one word. As a leader, it's our job to create the vision for our team. Full stop. And so, and really understanding what the elements of that vision could look like, and then get the team excited to get after that vision together as a group. And I love the way that both Logictry and the Growth Lab, but the technology in the Logictry really helps you orchestrate, again, your role in the outcomes, but then gives you the data to be able to start to think about, okay, what really makes sense, and then how, what's the order of which we could do these things, and who do I need to help me think about that, and what is a possible, what's the vision, what's the possible outcome of that. So it really kind of helps generate that process of creating your vision as a leader around AI and how you can instill that. And then the team actually seeing you do it. So actually, putting it, building, having a company like Logictree or others build a decision assistant to help customer service, right? And to train up your brand new customer service person who comes in, what if you could, instead of training them over 6 months, what if you could train them in 3 weeks? Right? What if they had a decision assistant that just automatically learned what they said, helped them correct it on the phone, that type of thing? And it's as a leader shares that vision and actually shows an example of it, of the outcome of that, it's going to be, I mean, that I think is how we really help leaders understand how AI can impact their business, and then really create that as a competitive advantage. And so that's behind the scenes, that's kind of really our goal with helping create this, is just give them empower them to create that vision.
So you've mentioned Logictree, and you've talked about them a little bit, but can you talk a little bit more about the technology? I like the name because it's logic and tree, right? But they spell it like circuitry, right? And then
Right.
you think about decision tree, which is mostly
Yeah.
really what AI is when you come down to it, right? So I
Yep.
think it's a really interesting play on imagery, words, company, but there's a lot more to it. And can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, as a partner with them, I'll tell you what I'm impressed with, and where I think, I've talked a little bit about some of the outcomes I'm excited about. Behind the scenes, it's the problem that they're helping solve, which is kind of where I start with any company. What is the fundamental problem you're trying to solve? And the fundamental problem is outdated information and misinformation from AI. So so how do you really help solve that? Well, you find a subject matter expert, and then that's really the genius behind this. Is inside each company, there's a subject matter expert where you can pull the information from that person to help map out and help curate the content in a way that nobody else knows, right? So as I have the chief risk officer, knows the top threats right now affecting the company, and so if we have them and help map out what those are in their mind, and then put the AI behind that to curate that content, that's really where the magic happens. So when you look at Logictry, that is the basis of the technology. They have people who help, sit down with executives, sit down with subject matter experts, working with solution engineers. Like I have so many teams that I support that have one solution engineer who is brilliant solving tokenization issues and multiple issues inside fintechs today. And we put them on the biggest, hardest, largest deals, right? But there's 65 salespeople. and so I think what Logictry helps, again, is just to keep it super simple, is it is a powerful decision assistant, right? And so behind the, kind of, if you pull the curtain back, you've got subject matter experts curating the information that is prompted by AI, and then helping create a scalable decision assistant inside the organization specific to that organization's knowledge. And I think there's a lot of fun things that we're going to be solving with that.
So, if you're a CEO of a company, no outside consultant can really come in and really, know the nuances of your company and know the what really makes it tick and how things flow and what department does, right, and all that sort of thing. And they can take all the surveys and spend all the time there they want. They didn't grow the
Right.
business from the bottom up, right? So
There you go. Yep.
by one, a lot of people are coming into AI, within the last 6 months, last year, there's a lot of information and there's a tumult of just, news and stories and, new AIs and new LLMs and generative AI and, AGI and all these terms, right? And they hear all this stuff, but
Right.
I don't think that in talking with Paulo from IBM, like most of the executives at most banks really don't know how to apply it, right? They really don't know where to apply it to their thing, and they, without knowledge of, one, understanding it, and two, understanding how it works, how can you apply it individually to your individual company? That's really the thing in my mind. So you have to start at the beginning. You have to understand the technology, or at least understand the principles behind the technology. You don't need to understand each bit and byte, but
Right.
can you talk a little bit more about that? How
Sure.
the process works of the learning, I guess, is what I'm looking for here.
Yeah, I think that's that's a great question. It's an important part of the assessment of getting the base knowledge and understanding where each participant thinks they are in AI, and then offering a one-on-one tutorial. For me, with Cliff Notes. So as an executive, so again, the bullet points around what is AI? So it's large space. What is machine learning? Okay, and then how do you break that down into keep going, right? So keep breaking down each individual piece, and then understanding how each piece fits into the other, and just having that one-on-one going, oh, okay, there's a great video by Jeff Su, who took the Google Introduction to AI, and it's a 4-hour course. He broke it down in 10 minutes, right? So there's things like that where we can curate something that is a Cliff Note version of that. So just to kind of give the context, and so people feel, we want them to feel safe, going, "Hey, this is just for you. Like only you see this." so wherever you want to start, if you want to start with one-on-one, great. If you're a programmer and you got this nailed, in fact, you're actually creating LLMs, then we have a whole different section of, okay, what's the next outcome you want to create, and how can we help you in your journey? Right? So I think there's a diversity of role and diversity of outcomes that we're trying to create, but the bottom line is always having that basic level 101 course, if you will, of allowing executives to do exactly that. And I think a lot of the AI breakouts I've seen in fintech assume a lot. They assume that that knowledge is known, and quite frankly, it might not be that well understood. And so, to your point, a lot of executives, you know, really, I think this will be a great opportunity for a lot of us to come together and just agree on a baseline, which I think we all can agree on. It's very well documented, just a baseline of how each term is defined, and then how it kind of builds into something that can actually help them. And actually show what the decision assistant is made of. So behind the scenes like this. So what we learned today was around machine learning and around generative AI. And then here's an LLM that is actually a decision assistant and actually can help you in these ways, right? And then and actually, show in real time what they've learned. So I think it'll be exciting.
Do you think moving forward, there's been to kind of go off the topic for a little bit, there's been a rash of AI powered devices. I'm wearing the Ray-Ban Meta glasses right now, right? I've got AI on my face 24 hours a day now, right? There's the Humane pin that has been highly panned, right? There's the little R1, the little box, right? There's a lot of different devices, but moreover, and they say that they ran those out really quickly because what you're going to see from Samsung and Apple and Google and everybody else come September phone season, right? You're going to see AI just slam full of your hardware, right? Do you think in the future, 5 years, 10 years from now, that every CEO will have like a AI powered assistant that's just kind of, back here, like in your, the angel on your shoulder, kind of helping you through your company. You talk about angel investing. Can you have a little angel AI,
There's a new idea. Yeah, I think that's a great, just kind of thinking through the vision and, thinking through the outcomes that I want to create, specifically in the Growth Lab for New Leaders as a CEO 5 years from now, envisioning, there's a few things that I think where I've really enjoyed AI and I want it to be on my shoulder, helping me move quicker. And again, making better decisions faster, right? So the other side of it is we can't lose the grasp on emotional intelligence. We can't, right? So I think it's really important, and where the Growth Lab and where Logictry are a great partnership is that we identify the areas where human knowledge that nobody else knows about a specific topic inside a specific organization that can't be replicated because this person built the company. So they know all the intricacies around that. And the emotional intelligence that is so powerful in that leader that built that company is we want to harness that, right? And I think so. It's 3, 4, 5 years from now, I see the need to have companies like Logictry, like Growth Lab, that combine those things together and allow you to really understand the human component, the emotional intelligence, the just really empathy, all the different things that really need to be harnessed in solving specific issues, while having like an AI, whether it's through glasses or through other things, help you make those decisions faster based on that information, right? So that's where I think companies like Logictry are really helping build, really bridge the gap there. And so I see it as, really having that combination of having, if I'm an employee inside one of these organizations, like in the Growth Lab 5 years from now, if I'm an employee and I hear the CEO speak about the passion that he had in building the company, and then I have a decision assistant to help me actually learn all the intricacies, all the different platform and all the different things that we're doing inside the Growth Lab, that combination is powerful, right? And that's where AI can't, I don't really see an opportunity where AI can do that in a meaningful way that has the same impact. And so I really look forward to having that good angel on my shoulder to help me, process that data faster, but then always add in the emotional intelligence to help communicate that in that vision in a powerful way.
We've talked a lot about the higher levels, right? The C-level and C-suite individuals.
Yep.
But to me, what Logictry is also enabling, very well help the lower levels of many companies also, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think of the books that they have in customer service where you ask the question, so they look for the question page, and then there's an
Yeah.
ABCD answer, right? And
Right.
customer service, sales, this kind of stuff can help any organization almost at any level. I know that you're focused on the leadership, but could you talk a little bit more
Sure.
about essentially how you could build leaders? I mean, you could grow
Yep.
leaders with using this
Yeah,
system, right?
absolutely. I see. So, like when I use the Growth Lab as an example, but I also am helping introduce Logictry to fintechs because of this exact issue. So we'll set Growth Lab aside for a second. Logictry is, again, this decision assistant. So imagine giving your customer service person on day one a tablet that has a video from the CEO going, "Oh, Hunter, thank you so much for joining. We're excited to have you here. We've created a decision assistant for you here at XYZ company. And it's basically a personalized learning journey that we've queued up just for you based on the assessment you gave us on earlier today." And so in that tablet, it gives them you know the areas that we want them to learn. Instead of a 12-week program, it's over the next week. It's all they're excited to go through it, and it creates and basically they have it on their laptop and on their PC and basically on their workstation where they can interact with the experts that have created the training in real time. And so, to your point, instead of flipping through the book, which I think we've all done, those of us who've been in sales and customer service and customer success, or we're today we're on Slack, we're asking that question to somebody who's too busy to answer, or or we're leaving a voicemail, but it's none of it's in real time. And so, just this for me, it's the speed to service, right? It's creating that awesome customer experience where I've got a ticked off customer and I can go to my tablet and go, okay, this customer is on this platform. They're trying to get this token to work. Customer service, says it's another gateway's issue. Help me figure this out. And then, and actually be able to type that into the decision assistant and go, oh, well, this platform doesn't work with this token. Please ask the customer if they've done this, right? And so it gives them the prompts to actually be able to solve that customer's issue, again, based on the experts that have curated that content. And I think that for me is the most exciting thing, is working with a fintech organization saying, where are you struggling the most? And a lot of the times, I've been doing this for 27 years, it's in customer service, right? Their attrition might be higher than they want. And customer service reps churn pretty consistently. And so having a way to increase that personalized journey, right? So they feel, I as a customer service rep feel important, but then also to help them feel successful. I think the reason a lot of customer service agents churn is because they don't feel successful and they're getting beat up every day and they can't get the help they need, right? So
Yeah.
how about providing a solution that solves those things? And so I think that's where the Growth Lab is partnering on the leadership side, going, okay, how when you're a new leader, what interview questions do you ask? How do you run a one-on-one? How do you run a team call? Right? All the questions, like they just say, poof, you're awesome. You're a great individual contributor. Now we want you to manage these 10 people, but we're not going to tell you what to do. so I think that's where we're accessing and really taking the Logictry, that decision assistant, for lack of a better phrase, and helping new leaders going, okay, here, access this data, personalized journey based on how you like to learn, what your values are, what your leadership style is, all those type of things. So we curate that based on them specifically, and then helps them build out answers to all the questions from all the experts we have behind the scenes at Growth Lab. So we've got 6 different advisors and coaching around emotional intelligence and how to interview and how to run teams, how to build empathy, how to build trust, all those type of things. And so we've taken all that knowledge, curated it inside the program, and it automatically, again, we can hand a tablet to doing a boot camp for 10 new leaders and say, okay, folks, here's your individual tablet for your needs. And based on what you've told us, and now let's go through learning together about how to build trust in a team, right? So it's basically it's leveraging Logictry's curation capability there with AI, and it's super exciting. I see it in solution engineering, customer success, customer service, sales, right? There's ways that we can scale that knowledge, reduce churn, and help companies, have happier customers at the end of the day.
And not to try and cover all bases, but even the assessment part of it could be very beneficial pre-hire, right? You were talking
Yeah,
about, hey, on your first day, we're going to give you this
right.
based on the assessment that, before we even hired you, right?
No, that part, right.
Their proclivity to learn, right?
Yeah,
That's a key factor in hiring an employee. Do they have the ability to learn, and two, the proclivity to learn, right? Do
yeah,
they really want to excel, right?
right.
So just some
That's a
questions,
great
right?
point.
Can you give us a little background on uh, how this came into being? Like, what was the catalyst, right, for this happening?
Sure, sure. Couple things here most recently. So in consulting inside fintechs, I was an executive leader inside two large companies in the last 10 years, running multiple teams around customer success. I'm sorry, not customer success, but solution engineering, sales, supporting groups like customer success and others. And and the things I mentioned before were just a consistent issue. And it has been for the last almost 3 decades of walking in organizations and helping them build out teams. And I think so. In working with my own coaches, my own advisors, going, what is the core? What's the fundamental problem? And the fundamental problem that we came up with earlier this year was lack of personalized training for new leaders. Like it's not, I come into a boot camp and I get a framework and I learn cool things and then I leave, right? So it doesn't really take into, again, my role, my leadership style, my learning style, and the outcomes I'm trying to generate. Like none of that's really in those types of boot camps. And so how it came to be in the Growth Lab is going, okay, well, let's solve that. And let's look for partners to help us solve that. And so in putting together my advisors and coaches, and we've got folks behind the scenes that have built learning programs, who have a doctorate or PhD in organized psychology, who know how to build assessments and and really build out the framework, and then finding the people who have actually done it to actually help me curate the content, and then helping really find ways to personalize it. And that's really where we struggled. And so, and I was lucky to be introduced to Chris Fronda with Logictry, and said, that's exactly what we do. So we help scale that knowledge. And so a partnership was formed here most recently about 6-8 weeks ago. We have been working behind the scenes to help build out that platform. And what I'm seeing right now is pretty incredible. And so we can gin up things relatively quickly. And so I think from an assessment perspective, we're super excited about it. But yeah, it's something that, again, starting with that fundamental problem solving and then looking for, the right technology partners. And it was important for me because I was struggling, this is another important piece. I was really struggling with the chat GPTs of the world and things, was just having older data. And it wasn't misinformation per se for me personally, but it was just not instantly applicable. And I was getting frustrated with that. And so as I was sharing that, there was this, I think it was South by Southwest, someone who was there said, "Oh, I just met this company called Logictry. You've got to see them. This might actually help you solve your problem." So that's kind of how it all came together.
Wow, that's kind of neat. So October 2nd, come
Yep.
and get your free AI assessment. Find out where you're at with AI. Really understand like what in the mountain of knowledge that you need to know. How much do you know, and where do you need to start, and where should you go from there, right? So Hunter's
Yep.
going to be doing that. We're going to be giving the assessment to all the attendees and anybody else who's that wants to participate in that. That's part of the event, and then you will recommend them actually a course of study. They'll just take over
Mhm.
from there, right?
Exactly.
They can take it with them essentially, and learn following the event, and just continue to go, right?
Absolutely. They can take it before the event if they like. They can follow up with questions. A lot of the times I think it helps me just to spend some time. So we'll have it launched well before the conference. And so you can go online, take the assessment, get the learning journey, go through the learning journey. and then ask for additional content, interact with us at the Growth Lab and Logictry. But more importantly, for those of us who are super busy and you're going into the conference, again, taking it at the conference or during, I think will be great too. So thank you.
So before we go, and after I say goodbye, hang around for 1 minute so the video continues to upload. It takes another minute, so we'll chat after that. But how can the people get in touch with you? Where can they reach Hunter?
Sure, on LinkedIn, so at Hunter Menton. Also, emails hunter@TheGrowthLab.ai, and excited to talk and to meet in October.
That sounds great. I'm really looking forward to it. So come out again, October 2nd, get your assessment on AI, know where you're at, and start understanding, make a real journey out of it and really come to understand it so you can really implement it and really benefit from it. So thanks very much, Hunter. I really appreciate your time. I know it's early today, and I look forward to meeting you at the event. See you everyone there October 2nd through the 4th, Dania Beach, Florida, Meridien, Dania Beach, Fin+AI conference.com. Thanks, Hunter. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bruce. You too.